All right, g'day and welcome to Tuesday night, another Tuesday night, week 30. I think we're week 32 or 33. It's I can't believe it. For those who don't know me, my name is Craig Turton, or Turts. I'm the proud co-founder of 100 Words Mate to Mate, a men's health organisation raising awareness about the plight of men's health in this country, men's mental health, which is horrendous. 7 men take their own life every day in this country. Okay, if you're aged between the age of, the biggest killer of men between the age of 16 and 44 is themselves. It's an horrendous stat. Okay, and it's only getting worse through what we're all going through with COVID and the isolation that we're all feeling. Okay, so what we're doing here at 100 Words Mate to Mate is we're trying to get you to start a conversation with your mate. Now, no longer do we want you to do this. No longer do you ring your mate and say, "G'day, mate, how you going?" Because all he says is good. Okay, this is what we're all about. This is what the show's all about. It's called Mate to Mate at 8 for a reason. So what we want you to do, we want you to ring your mate and say, "G'day, Tomo, how's your day been out of 10? Or "G'day, Tomo, how's your week been out of 10? Okay, that's how we want you to start the conversation. And that's how we're going to start it tonight. Now, we want to know how your day's been out of 10. So as you register there then and jump on, tell us how your day is out of 10, and we'll go through those results a little bit later on. Now, for those who've never watched the show, I, Turts, am a painter. I paint houses for a living, okay? Just to prove it, I have paint all over me from today, okay? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, okay? I'm just part of a men's health group, and all we're trying to do is encourage men to talk to each other and ask each other, you know, a really simple question, mate, how's your day out of 10? Okay, that's all we're trying to do here tonight, okay? Now, if the conversation at any stage, now while we're there, we've polls come through. Hey, we've got a lot of people at a 10. We've got people at 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, and we've got a few people that are 4. Those people that are 4, okay, hang in there. Really appreciate you being so honest and telling us that you're a 4, okay? If you ever need a chat, my number is 0412 310 788. You can ring me anytime. Okay, I'm happy to talk. Okay. Now, if the conversation throughout tonight gets a little bit heavy for anyone and you're feeling uncomfortable, okay, you can ring that number I just gave you, or you can ring the number for Lifeline. The number for Lifeline is this: 131114. Someone will always be there to answer your call. But if you feel like a chat, just ring me. I'm pretty good at listening. Okay. Now, tonight I am super excited. Now, we've been running this show for 32 weeks, right? Never have we changed the time. It's called Mate to Mate at 8 for a reason. But when I'm standing in front of my guest that I'm about to interview, and he says, "I can't make 8, it has to be 15:15, I said this, okay. He said, "Look, Mate to Mate at 15:15, it still rhymes, it still sounds good, so let's just roll with it." And when you're standing in front of Anthony Rocca, all you do is nod and go, "Okay, no worries, Mr. Rocca." And that's what I did. Okay, now the great man, Mr. Anthony Rocca, let me put the glasses on so I can see. Look, got drafted as a 17-year-old to Sydney in 1994. Was the number 2 draft pick. Went there for 2 years. And then he went to the Pies, the Mighty Pies, where he absolutely smashed it. Kicked 415 goals in 242 games. Most of those goals were outside 50. And I reckon about 50 of them were outside 70. Well, that's what he told me anyway. Was the leading goal kicker for Collingwood in 2000, 2002, 2006, and 2007. Okay, he's after he retired, after his unbelievable career, he was actually named in the Collingwood Hall of Fame, which is an unbelievable thing about the great players that have played for the Collingwood Football Club, and to be inducted into the Hall of Fame there is a huge achievement. He's now one of the assistant coaches at the Collingwood Football Club, working closely with the great Mason Cox and Brodie Grundy, and runs the football program at Vita Sports, where he's a director. A massive Mate to Mate at 8:15. And there'll only be 8:15, I can assure you, to the great Anthony Pebbles Rocca. Hello, sir.
Thanks for having me, Turts. Thank you for the introduction. It's very nice.
Oh, that's all right, mate. I could have kept going, but otherwise we'll be here for 2 hours.
Well, I'm happy to be here for 2 hours if it makes someone's day better.
I'll pump you up. Mate, how's your day been out of 10?
I'm an 8 today.
Nice.
I'm an 8. I had the reason why I'm on at 8:15 is because I had a full day with work and we ran a footy program down at Vita, and now session finished at 7:30, just after 7:30. So I got home, had a quick bite to eat, and now I am with you guys to talk about anything you would like to talk about.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic.
How's your day out of 10? Sorry,
Mate, I had a 9 today. Everything went well today. From the moment I got up, I had 3 different jobs today. Everything just went well. Got home early, got to play with the kids. So that's a cracking day for me. So yeah, happy as Larry, mate. And yeah, looking forward to spending a bit of time with you, mate. We had a quick chat the other night, and I only met you the other day, and mate, really, really keen to get into it. So, mate, tell the people, yeah, a bit about yourself.
Okay, well, obviously I played footy for a number of years. Before I was into footy, I was into athletics as a kid. Grew up in Reservoir in the northern suburbs, the hard-nosed Reservoir out back there, and went to Lakeside Secondary College, Lakeside Primary before that. Just shows how good those schools are going. They're not there anymore. So, yep. From there, played at Sydney for 2 years, as you just discussed before, and played at Collingwood for about 12, 13 years, and become a coach at Collingwood at the start of the 2010 season, and was a small part of their premiership season as a coach. And from that, just gradually went full-time for a while at Collingwood in coaching. Coached all lines in the VFL, forward, back and mids. It was really good to get a handle on every line instead of being stereotyped into one type of coaching. And then from there, I actually went part-time and become a ruck coach and an aerial coach specialist. And then got my fingers dirty with Vita Fitness and Vita Footy. Initially with Vita Footy with a good friend of mine, Vince, who I met when I was playing at West Preston.
He's a great man, Vinny. Great man.
Yeah, probably get into a little bit deeper later on. And then at the moment I'm pretty much full time into Vita Fitness and Vita Footy. And
married to your beautiful wife and 2 young kids.
Oh, I forgot to mention the most important people in my life, didn't I? How'd I let that one slip? Yes, my wife, who I went to school with, high school.
Yep.
She didn't like me in high school, but she finally come around in the end. But we've been together for a long time, and she's a super woman. She pretty much takes care of the whole family, and juggles work with it as well. And my 2 beautiful kids, Mia and Max, who Mia's 14 and Max is 10. And they're showing a little bit of interest in sport, but I don't care what they do as long as they're happy.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Now, let's go back to the start. So get drafted, and they say number 474, Anthony Rocca, Sydney. What did you say?
Well, when they called my name out, so it's the number 2 draft pick was Anthony Rocca from, I think it was Meadow Heights or Broad Meadows or something like that. They didn't say Northern Knights.
Yep.
And I go, geez, I hope that's not me. Because I at the time I told Sydney that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave Melbourne because I've got a beautiful family here, which I've grown up with for a long time, and great bunch of friends who I still have now. Who it's just hard to leave. I'm a homebody. I'm not ashamed to say that. Like I enjoy being here. I enjoy being in my comforts and my surrounds. People sometimes say you've got to get out of your comfort zone to get out and achieve things. And yeah, you're probably right. But if I can achieve things here, that's what I want to do. So the first year in Sydney was, so what happened there, I told them, look, I'm not coming up to Sydney. And then
hang on, you're their number one draft pick, and you've turned to them, who would have been Roosie at the time, and said, I'm not coming. Is that right?
who was the coach? The coach at the time was Ron Barassi.
Oh,
so yeah, Ron Barassi was the coach at the time, and most of the time I was dealing with the recruiting manager and the football manager. But even before the draft, I told them, "Okay, look, guys, it's not worth picking me up because I'm not going to give you my best because I'm not going to be in an environment that I'm surrounding myself that I'm going to achieve my best." Yeah. So they ended up still picking me, and a couple of months later, we were always in contact. They were always ringing and seeing how I was going and things like that. And one night, Paul Roos and Tony Lockett come around. So they had just gotten to Sydney either a year in or just that year. And they come over one night and sat around for a couple of hours trying to convince me to come. And how do
you say no to Plugger?
Well, it's hard to say no to Plugger. Don't let me tell you what Plugger said to me in his first game, okay? We won't go there.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, so we might go there later.
Yeah, okay.
So, I think it's by the end of the night, I go, look, the only way I'm going to come up to Sydney and play is if I come up to training one night during the week and then come back home and then game day during the weekend, come up that day and then fly back home after the game. And they thought, well, okay, let's do that. Yeah, picked up the freaking fly points, I can tell you that. But that's the way I pretty much did it for the first year. I was flying up for training and then going back for game day. And then the following year, I'd finished year 12, and there was nothing stopping me from going up there. So I went up there, and my mum come and helped and supported me in that journey for about 2 or 3 months. She lived with myself, Paul LeCurry, and Clinton King at the time, and we got through that year.
Wow. And then drafted the Pies.
Yeah.
Back home.
Yeah, I always wanted to come back home and play with my brother. It was one of my lifetime goals to do that. Yeah. We never played in the same team at any level prior to that. So that was one of my life ambitions, and I got the ability to do that. It's really funny that draft, that trade period, my actual trade got done like a couple of hours after the deadline.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So come deadline time, I go, this isn't happening. Well, I'm not sure what's gonna happen now. And I was in my manager's rooms, and he goes, don't go anywhere because it's still going. So and then going to the Pies.
And it all went rosy from there, mate. You got to stay at home with your family.
Yeah.
Now, mate, I said this to you before. We're gonna deep dive today, and you said to me the other night, there's nothing I'm not allowed to ask you. So why have you ever done an interview like this where we're gonna deep dive and talk about mental health and things like that? Have you ever done that before?
I never have. No, I haven't. So I'm keen to just to divulge what some of the things that I've been through, what I know some other people have been through, and whether I can, being a coach is a bit like being a life coach, is helping people along with their journey. So if anything that I say helps one person, like you said, 7 men every day between the ages of 16 and 14 commit suicide, and that's we love zero. We want zero. That's as simple as that. It's actually sad thinking about it.
Yeah, just to confirm that 7 men every day, regardless of their age, take their own life, and the biggest killer of men in this country, is between 16 and 44. Is the biggest killer. So, like prime example, mate. You're 44. How old's your son?
My son Max is 10.
Yeah, so he's he's 5 or 6 years from entering that bracket. So, it's really important. We've said this for the last most weeks. It's really, really important for men of my age and older. I'm 47 and older to go, okay, I'm outside that bracket. Doesn't mean it doesn't affect me, but we might have a son or a nephew or a cousin who's about to enter that. So it's really, really important that we change our focus. Apart from us, we need to put our focus onto young people as well. So, mate, look, to be commended. You've never talked about this for any reason, and I'm really takes a lot of guts to do that. So, mate, let's just get into it. Let's go back to when you were thinking about going to the US to be a punter, and how hard that was, and what effect that had on your family.
Yeah. So at the end of 2009, Sav was already playing in the NFL, and I had to think about. But just before my career finished, I had to think about what my next journey was. I wasn't any good at school. Okay, let's get that straight. So, sporting field is what I'm good at. So I thought at the time I'm going to have a crack at this punting, because I've got a good kick, I've got a big kick, and that's what is required in the NFL.
How old were you at this stage?
What was I? It was the end of 2009. I would have been 31, 32.
Yep.
And at the end of the season, I hurt my game. I hurt my ankle in the very last game that I played, and it actually took me a good 6 months to recover from that. Because at the end of that season, I probably partied a fair bit and drank a bit, and it's not good for an injured ankle. Anyway, it's probably got nothing to do with the story, but I thought I'd mention that anyway. But and I started kicking a fair bit, punting a fair bit, and I went over to the US to meet up with Darren Bennett, which I stayed at his place for about 4 or 5 days. And he took me for kicking, and it was a really, really good experience. And at that time, I thought that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a punter. And then we trained for about 2 or 3 days straight. And he goes, "Mate, I think you're ready to have a tryout." So we got in contact with Sav's agent, and she made a call around, and I actually got I got a tryout with the New York Giants, and so I got a flight out. So where were we? I was in San Diego, in Carlsbad, San Diego, and where Darren lived, and got a flight out to New York, where their big hotel is, and they put us up for the night before. And that night before the tryout, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? And I'm thinking, because I thought that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I actually really nutted it out, I'm going, is this really what I want to do? Do I want to live here? My wife was about to give birth to our second child in about 3 or 4 months, and I probably would have been away at the time that they were doing their preseason stuff and things like that. And is it really my ambition to do this? And when I weighed that up, I thought to myself, I don't think I want to do this.
This is the night before.
Yeah, this is the night before. And I actually did the training. I actually went out and did the trial.
Wow.
And you wouldn't believe it. I kicked the ball better than I ever thought. We were in an indoor, and it was cold. This is late December, cold. So we were doing the tryout in the New York training facility. It was an indoor facility, and I was kicking the ball, and I was hitting the roof with these kicks.
Jesus. So
I had about 10 to 15 kicks, and I hit the roof about 5 times. And the coach at the time was Coughlin, I think it was. He'd been the head coach of the Giants for a long time, many years. And he come over to the guy who was giving me the try, and he goes, "Well, we better take him outside, because we can't get a gauge on how well he's kicking these balls, because he's hitting the roof." So we went outside. It was cold. It was windy, and it was the elements that you play in. So I went outside, kicked the ball, and I hit some good ones and I hit some ordinary ones because of the conditions. So did that, finished up, went in their cafeteria, had some lunch, and then their football manager come across and he goes, "Well, we want to offer you a training run throughout our pre-season." I think they call it a futures contract, where they bring you into training camp, and if you make it, then you sign your contract over pre-season. And that night, and then I went home, and that night I was staying at my brother's, and I knew I didn't want it. I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do. And there would be a lot of people saying, "You're bloody crazy, you're stupid, this is an opportunity of a lifetime." But if I'm not fully 100% committed, I'm not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you do. If you're not going to commit 100%, you're not going to go well. And I remember that night in bed, and mate, I'm 32 years old. I'm not ashamed of crying. I was crying my eyes out.
Yeah. I
was on the phone to my missus. I'm going, "Listen, my missus, my wife Enza, I'm saying, all I want to do is come home." Wow. And I told Sav's agent that I can't do this. I apologise for putting her through that, for setting it all up. And sometimes it doesn't look good on the agent for setting it all up for this guy to walk away. And I was extremely disappointed in myself for doing that. And so I told Sav the next morning, I don't think this is what I want to do. And you know what, I think my brother at the time looked at me and he goes, I can tell it's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
So just be you, do what you want to do. Then, I don't have regrets of not doing it. But I believe that I made the right decision and come back and I'm doing something that I enjoy doing.
How much of an effect do you think it would have had on your wife if you hadn't gone? And you?
No, I reckon
being true to yourself.
My wife is supportive in whatever I do. She's super like that, being with football, mate. She was there all the time, watching most of the time. When we had kids, she was supportive of me achieving what I wanted to achieve, and her looking after the kids. And she come to most games that with the kids that she could. And she was, like I said at the start, she was super supportive of my footy. And if I would have done the NFL stuff, she would have been super supportive in that. She would have followed me along the way and given me her best. And she's a super woman as well.
Now, she's had some struggles with depression after the kids were born, and that had a huge effect on her and you.
Yeah, look, she suffered with some postnatal depression and suffers a little bit of anxiety from her past, and she's dealt with that. She still deals with that. Sometimes I feel that because I was so focused in footy. I was a loving husband and a loving father, but football is demanding. It's demanding to the point where you've got to turn up to training and go to games and go interstate, which is a privilege. Don't get me wrong; it's a privilege to be in that position, but it is so demanding on the family, on the ones that you love a lot, and sometimes I think that her being the burden of everything at home, sometimes I feel that some of the anxiety and the depression is put on her a little bit more, but she has to put up the demands of that.
How does that make you feel?
Looking back at it now, it makes me feel that there's more to football and there's more to life than the football. absolutely. And if I had my time again, sometimes I would say, stuff you guys, I'm not coming to training today because I'm needed here. And every now and then I did that because she needed my support.
Yep.
Particularly when my daughter was born, we probably got 3 or 4 nights sleep, full night's sleep in 2 years.
Wow.
So in that regard, I wish I was a bit more tolerant in saying, look, guys, I'm needed at home for a day or so. Give us the space. But sometimes footy, I don't know if I put footy first sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I might have.
Do you think that if you would play today, do you think if you went to the club now today, and you said, "Hey, this is a situation. I need to be home."
Yeah.
Do you think the club? Let's just take Collingwood out. Let's any club. Do you think at a football club now that would be better received than what it would have been back in sort of early 2000s?
I do, and I do think if I come forward as well with telling the guys back then, that it would have been acceptable as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe it's a bit more back on me to saying, guys, look, I just need a bit more time here to help out at home.
Yeah. And how's your beautiful wife going these days?
She's great. She's good. She still deals what she needs to deal with.
Yep.
But she's in a good state at the moment. She's back at work full time. She was working from home, which she loves company. She loves to enjoy other people and spend time with other people. She's got a job just out in Collingwood, which is just out of the city, and she loves the vibe of that. So it's really good for her to get back and engage with people, which is what she loves.
Yeah. Have you, throughout your career, when you look back on it now, because it's always pretty hard when it's all happening and it all looked from the outside, from a lay person, and growing up as a kid myself, I always wanted to play. Did you struggle? Do you look back now and think that, did you have any struggles with mental health, your own mental health that you didn't register to you at the time, but you look back now and go, shit, there was some stuff there that I probably didn't deal with?
Yeah, I'd agree with to a degree. Like I would have struggled, like with poor form.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that when myself and my brother played together, and when we didn't perform, that we got some heat from the media.
Yeah.
And to see that people don't read papers and they don't listen to some social media. Social media wasn't rife back when we were playing, but the media was and still is. Yeah. To say that I didn't get, I want to say depressed. I'd say, just struggled with comments from people with things like that. Yeah. But just outside influences. Inside the club, people were so supportive. But I reckon I struggled a little bit when I retired because I was a footy person. Like I said before, schooling wasn't one of my greatest assets, and I didn't know what I wanted to get into when I finished footy. And at the end of 2009 through 2010, I thought I was going to stay at home for the rest of my life and live off what I had earned through football. But I can tell you that eroded pretty quickly. So I went to the club and seen if I could help in any way. And the first year I was only working one day at the week at the footy club for no pay, which I didn't care because I was at home just doing something to help someone. So I definitely felt like I was in a state of something when I retired.
When you were playing, did you ever think that was coaching always in the background, or did you just go, you know what, I just really want to give back and help others?
I hated the thought of being a coach because the life of a coach, I can tell you now, when I was playing, mate, it's unbelievable the amount. People wouldn't register how much work a coach puts in.
Yeah.
And particularly more back then, I reckon. They are in at the club. They could be in at the club at 7 a.m. and sometimes they won't leave till 7 at night.
Yep.
but they're still working on their computer trying to configure, some plays that they're going to do for the upcoming game. What does training look like the next day? What am I going to do with my line of boys for the training they're going to do the next day? But it is full on. And at the time, I thought, no way, I'm going to be a coach. But towards the end of my career, I thought, what am I good at? And the thing I was good at was probably teaching footy, playing footy, and then trying to be a coach, which I probably struggled with at the start. But like, if you do something consistently, you become better at it.
Absolutely. Just while we're in Clubland, how much of an effect did the death of John McCarthy have?
We're going back a while now. John McCarthy, and he wasn't with us at the time. He was with Port Adelaide. To hear that come through, like, I was sitting next to Dale tapping in our office, and he walked into our office, and I was sitting at my desk. I can remember it vividly. Sitting at the desk, and he comes in and he goes, "John McCarthy's just died." And as you do, you just go, "Mate, bullshit, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "Mate, why would I bullshit about something like that? John McCarthy has just died." And I remember just sitting at my desk. I sat at my desk for about 5 minutes just looking at my screen, even though I can't remember what I was looking at. And I was just stunned because John, John lived with us for about a week or two when he first came into the footy club.
With you personally?
Yeah, with me and Enzo when we were living in Preston. And just lived there for about a week or two. And he was a really, really nice man, great man, beautiful family up in Sorrento, grew up in Sorrento. And the other thing I remember is that we went to his funeral in Sorrento, and I remember as a team we went up there, and then we got the bus back, and we had to fly to Adelaide to play Adelaide or someone. I think we had a really good win, and then a week later, I think it fell to bits because we were playing on the emotion. The boys were playing on the emotion of it, and then they had a big low coming down from it. And there was a few guys who were very close to John at the time, and it was pretty sad, actually. He was a really nice kid, but it was unfortunate that happened.
So you think about when you started back in '94 to when you retired, just the attitude around mental health, men's mental health, and the attitude in the change rooms. I'd imagine when you first started, it was still that sort of very bravado, suck it up, princess, harden up, you'll be right, get back out there type bullshit, really. But that was the time. And then you've gone from that semi-professional time to the full professional time. How much has that changed, and how much has that shaped you now as a coach?
Yeah, so much. Shaped me so much as a coach. I remember, Sydney days, early Collingwood days, it was more about sucking it up, move along, get along with it. And I hate to sound contradictory, but sometimes that's needed in some scenarios. But you've got to know the individual you're dealing with as well. But that was a fair bit of that when back in '94 to many years after that, and it slowly got better to the point now it's really good. It's really good. Boys are connecting with boys, men are connecting with men. You've heard of the Richmond stuff where they got up in front of each other and they've told things that someone wouldn't have known about them. Parts of that has happened at Collingwood as well. So a lot of people are connecting with people, and it's just the evolution of the generations as well. People aren't afraid to say, men aren't afraid to say I love you to other men. They have
Absolutely.
great friendships and great relationships that it's okay. It's okay to say to someone, even another man, that I love you. So as it's gone along, it's surely shaped us as a coaching group to be more empathetic to other people and to players. You don't know what someone's dealing with. So we've got to really be mindful of, asking how your day was. In all truth, you rang me for the first time, and I watched a snippet when you asked me to be on the show. I watched a snippet of your show with John Bow, and the first thing stuck in my head was rate your day out of 10, and it's a great conversation starter. And when you rang me, what was the first thing I said to you? I'd never spoken to you before.
We've never spoken, so I get sent Anthony's number and I ring it, and Anthony says to me, "G'day, Turts, how's your day out of 10?" And I go, "Oh, shit, I've rung the wrong number. That must be Kane," who I know. Both Anthony and I know. And I said, "Oh, Kane, I'm really, really sorry. I've tried to ring Anthony." And you go, "Turts, it's me. I just want to know how your day is out of 10. I'm like, "I've converted him already. How good's this?"
It is. To tell you the truth, I watched the John Bow interview for 5 minutes, and what I got out of your first talk I think his interview was for about 3 minutes prior to that. It just stuck in my head, and that's going to be my conversation starter for many people. Thank you for that.
That's great. Mate, absolute pleasure. I love the fact that you've jumped on board, because it's such a powerful tool to use, and guys can't get around it. I can't just go, "Yeah, good." I get that all the time. Every day someone says, "Oh, good." He's good between 6 and 7 or 8 and 9.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've got to give you an answer.
Yeah.
I'd imagine when you first started, the message from the coach was quite direct, and it was one message for all guys.
Yep. Yep. And to tell you the truth, I enjoyed the direct messaging. That worked for me.
Yep.
If I wasn't playing a great game, or if the coach needed something from me, he looked me in between the eyes and he told me the truth. He just spat out, "Man, you're having a shit game for this, and this reason."
Yep.
And that was the way that Mick Malthouse got the best out of me.
He would
and I didn't mind that. We had that relationship that he could do that. And it doesn't work for everyone. These days, it's a bit harder, and you've got to pick your mark who you can do that to, and you've got to have that relationship with the person to do it. So yeah, it has changed. It has changed a long way.
Is that the skill of coaching these days, that it can't be one message? So it's one overall theme, but the delivery to each guy is. So I always use someone like Jonathan Brown. I'd imagine if you're coaching Jonathan Brown, you just grab him by the scruff of the neck, which is obviously much like yourself, look you in the eye and say, "This is what I want.
Yep.
Go do it." Versus other guys now, you would have seen it, would not respond to that and just go into the shell. Where now it's like, "Hey, mate, come over here. This is what I want you to do." And I think the beauty for your coaching now, and we talked about this the other night, is you can just sit there. You've got a screen. So you say, "Hey, whoever, what are we doing here?"
Yeah.
And you've got the behind the screen footage of whatever's going on.
Obviously, you're going to have better relationships with different players, and my coaching role was aerial, and my coaching role was ruck work. And I had a really good relationship with Brodie Grundy, Mason Cox, Max Lynch, Darcy Cameron at the time, and I'm no longer working at the Collingwood Football Club, being made redundant. Anyway, the way I could speak to Brodie would be different to the way I speak to Mason and to Max Lynch and to Darcy Cameron. So to do that, you've got to be able to have a relationship with these boys. You've got to know what makes them tick. You've got to know what makes them better themselves. So I could have a heart-to-heart to Brodie. in the start of, I think it was either 2017 or 2018. After the first game, I think Brodie had an okay game, but there was elements of his game that could get better. And I'm not a coach who's going to sit around and just let things slide. That I've seen that you've done well and what you can do better. And I told Brodie, I go, listen, mate, you're a long way from being where you want to be. And he turned around and he goes, what do you mean? I go, mate, you're not as good as what you think you are right at this moment because wow. You're good at this, but you can be so much better at this, and this. And he actually took heart to that. Yeah. And then from then, I remember him saying that. He goes, at the end of the year, he goes, I remember we had this chat. And he might have won the BNF that year. So it's a matter of tapping into the person on a deeper level. And I can tell you now, I've had some of the discussions and talks I have with Brodie are amazing. Yeah. They're really amazing. It's like we have discussions saying, what's the definition of success?
Wow.
If I ask you that question, what would you say? In football terms,
I think most guys would say winning.
Yep. Would you define premierships as success?
I think a lot of guys would.
Well, what about a Robert Harvey who's never won a premiership?
Yep.
Or a Nathan?
Yeah, I'd be like, I'd want to be known as a good teammate.
Yep.
And I personally would want to be known as someone who you could depend on and just busted his ass every week, and you picked him because he busted his ass. That's what I'd want.
Now this started about a year and a half ago.
Yep.
This conversation, it probably still goes every month or a couple of months. We actually keep divulging into it, and we ask different people what the measure of success is.
And you get a myriad of different answers. Clearly,
100%.
Is that when you learn about what makes someone tick?
Yep.
Yeah,
it is, because everyone's got a different opinion about something, and it's right or wrong. My opinion is not better than your opinion.
Yep.
They've just got differing opinions.
Absolutely. Just on that, has that been the growth of Nathan? Like, Nathan was always known as that hard ass perfectionist. Like, yep. you do every extra training. You know, you have to be great on both foot, both hands. Was just a footy nut. And I think back then, a lot of guys were footy nuts. We're now guys, I'm sure you've seen it, that some guys are footy nuts while they're playing, and then they just switch off and don't give a shit. Don't watch a lot of footy or anything like that. So what's been the change in Nathan? Because it looks like he's been on the same sort of path as Dimmer, about finding himself more so. And
there was no doubt at the end of 2017 that things had to change. There was an internal review within the football club on all matters, on everything football, and the club and the administration. And one of the things that Nathan had to do was give more of himself so that he can open up, so others could open up to him. A bit like his footy. Now, he wanted to control and be the best that he could. You know, we got along really well. But at the end of 2007, he had to give more of himself to get others to give more to him.
Yeah. So give more of yourself to get more back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got to give to get. So that would have been really hard for someone like him. You know, because not everyone who plays the game plays at the level that he could.
Yeah. And he was a bit of a control freak.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have. So you got line coaches for a reason, because they're good at what they do. They're good in that field. Give them the scope to implement things that they want to implement. You know, it also has to come under the umbrella of what the team values and ethos is. But you know, give them the scope. Don't be controlling over everything. Let it's like, soccer managers do it the best, I reckon. I've never been internally involved with soccer, but what I understand is the coach, the manager, just sits back and lets everyone else delegate. He delegates and lets everyone else do their job.
How important are your mates to you?
Oh, my mates. I've got a really, really good group of friends, and there's probably 10 boys that I grew up with, primary school, high school, which they're super. I've got one friend who's quite ill at the moment. He's got cancer, and it's not a good type of cancer, but he's fighting it really well. And our friends are super supportive of him. Like I said, we've all been together for a long time, and we're pretty supportive of each other. And our families, we're not friends. We're family.
Yeah.
Which is super. I don't see them as friends. I see them as brothers and sisters.
How hard is it to watch one of your dear friends go through what he's going through?
It is. It is sad. Sorry, mate. It's sad, but he's super. He's pretty strong bloke. We all support him. We've all told him we love him, and he needs to do what he needs to do to get through.
You obviously don't struggle with your emotions, mate. You're obviously an emotional beast, and the ability to tell your mates that you're here for them and you love them is clearly that comes pretty easy to you. Has that always been the case?
Yeah, always. I'm not afraid to show my emotions. But yeah, it's good. Like we got a super. Like these guys have been around for ages. We took my mate out. We've all got hotted up cars, old cars, and he just bought a Camaro a few months ago, and we hadn't been out all together for a drive because of this bloody COVID shit, and we took him out. We took him out last weekend. We went for a drive down to, where was it? I think it was Macedon or somewhere out there. And then we come back through via Williamstown and just seeing each other in their cars, hotted up cars. It was a super time. Super. It was really good.
They're the things that mean a lot to you, aren't they?
Spending time with these boys is fantastic. It's what else do you need? A bit of wind in the air, spending time with your friends. Hadn't seen them for a long time. Next thing we have to do is just take the women out with us and the kids.
I'd imagine that would have played, if we go back towards the start of the interview, that would have played a big part in your decision, no doubt, when you thought, I don't want to be here in the States. I'm going home.
That was a big factor. Yeah. Friends, family. I was thinking, well, when I go down to Germana every weekend, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. That's my happy place.
Yeah,
where all my friends are, and we get together most of the time.
Yep.
It seems silly that your future, you could have a really good future by doing what you're doing, earning a really good income, and you're not doing it because you want to be a part of your family and friends at those particular times. But that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And those friendships that you've forged, they mean more than dollars in the bank, mate.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
So, mate, your father-in-law, sorry, your brother-in-law reached out to you just recently.
Yeah.
About a job.
Yeah. So what happened was the first shutdown we got. So when the first COVID shutdown, we were told at Collingwood that we didn't have a role at that particular time when everyone was shut down, and there was only going to be limited staff who came back to the footy. So that day, and I wasn't one of them who went back. So I was in the part-time. I was part-time role working at Vita, and anyone who had a part-time job wouldn't be able to come back because of the ISO restrictions. So you couldn't be involved. You had to be isolated, which I wasn't because I had another part-time job.
Yeah.
Well, Vita's not a part-time job. It's my workplace. So in the space of about 6 hours, I was told that I didn't have a role at Collingwood at that particular stage. That same day, I was told, again, some average news about my friend about some recurring stuff. And those two already, I was down in the dumps. I was a one, really feeling bad about my mate, down in the dumps about not having a job at Collingwood, because I was entrenched at Collingwood for a long time. So,
yeah.
And then for about I was knackered. I cried, particularly when I heard about my friend again. And then that night, my brother-in-law rings me and he goes, "Mate, you want to come and work with me? I've got a shitload of work on. I've got work coming out of my ears. Come and work with me." So the next day I was starting there. I was working straight away. Now the gym, the boys were handling the amount of, because we were in lockdown there as well, the amount of work. So there was very little work going through there as well. So Vinny, Pat and Kane were doing the stuff there. And I was working with my brother-in-law, Tony, who's, my brother-in-law, Tony, is like my brother. He does a lot of stuff for me, and we support each other in all the best ways. So what Tony does, so what we were doing, he makes boxes for pharmaceutical companies. These boxes store medicine, so they can travel at different temperatures, and they're all temperature control and things like that. So the thing I felt comforting in working there was making things that help benefit people. Factory job, on my feet all 8 hours a day, which a lot of people do, which is fantastic. And I actually got stuck in the work in there, put my headphones on and listened to podcasts for 8 hours.
Gave you an appreciation for what your dad did? Yeah,
super appreciation. My dad come from Italy, was a factory worker, worked at Pac Pacific in Heidelberg. Pac Pacific is like Visiboard, was a direct they were in direct competition with each other, I think, at the time, and he worked there on the factory floor. And I remember working. I'm going, this is how my old man did it back in the day. Getting up at 6 in the morning, even earlier he was, going to work, coming home at 3 or 4 in the arvo, and doing the same thing every day just to make money and keep his family surviving, which was super. I remember telling my dad, I saw my dad a couple of times now. I went to go see him over ISO. I have no regrets for that, because I wanted to see my family, because my mum and dad, because they're on their own. And I told him, I go, "Look, mate, I really appreciate what you did for us when we were growing up." He was super.
That would have made him really proud, mate.
Yeah, he goes, "Now you know what I bloody did." He's funny, my man. He's a good fella. He's a ripper fella.
Mate, what I love about you...
He can talk footy a little bit too much, but he's a ripper fella.
Yeah, mate, what I love about you, as I said, we've only met the other day, and you're clearly an emotional beast.
Yeah.
Who loves his family, loves his mates, and it's a credit to you that you are open and honest about your feelings towards those people. And I love the fact that when you do it, you got a smile on your face. Like, it's just, you look happy. It's so good to see, mate. There's so many people that are doing it tough. And I spoke to someone yesterday and I said, if things are tough, go do something for someone else.
Yeah. I remember just on that, Turts, I remember going to my brother-in-law's work. So I was from Alphington to Tullamarine, which is a good half an hour drive. I would remember in the morning, so this is 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I knew some of my mates were up. So this is the connection I got with my mates. I'd ring one or two of them every morning just to see how they were going. And I wish I would have known that at 10. Well, it was it would have been early in the morning, but just ask how your day was out of 10. But you can use it at any time of the day.
Oh, how's your week been out of 10?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would do that for about a week and got through them in about a week. And if I didn't get them in the morning, I got them at night just to see how they were going, what they're up to, if they were still working, if they needed a hand with anything, if they were struggling financially with anything as well. That's the sort of group we are.
What was the response from them when you did that?
Most of them are pretty good. Most of them are tradies who are still working.
Yep.
Working at a limited capacity, but they were still working. I got back how I was going, which wasn't the reason why I was ringing. I just wanted to see how they were going, how their family was going. But that was just, a goal I put in. A couple of the Collingwood coaches who have been stood down, I rang them just to see how they were going. And it was really good to connect in that way. Well,
I think from this point on, mate, there's a fair chance you're going to use our catchphrase of "How's your day out of 10?" I'd love to. Obviously, we're going to keep in contact, and I'd love to hear how that goes and the response that you get.
Yeah.
Mate, let's talk about Vita, because 100 Words Mate to Mate and Vita are about to form a partnership, and we are pumped to be involved with the like yourself and Pat and Vinny and Kane. Kane rang us about a month ago and said, look, we love what you guys do. Let's get involved. And we're putting together something for your staff next week. Mate, thank you so much. What does it mean to Vita to be aligned with a men's health foundation?
Well, fitness and things that happen, it connects. It connects in every way. Mental illness connects with fitness so good. The ability to train, connect with other people in the gym, connect with your trainer or whatever. It's just a training in the gym. It's just what I found is not just about doing the fitness. It's about having that chat. I've got a group which we did this morning, and I'll name their names: Dom, Jana, and Joe. Sometimes they really do my head in, but there's another guy, Pat. Victor was in there this morning, and these guys have been in their 50s, 60s,
yep.
And they come in to work out, but it's the chat, it's the banter. It's the ability to connect with each other. I've only known these people for a couple of years, but we've got a really good connection. So, even those guys, if they ever need to chat about anything, we're ready to chat. It's part of being a trainer.
I think the gym for a lot of people is that connection. It's what we call health by stealth. It's like a men's shed where you go there. It's about the timber and the tools. It's actually got nothing to do with the timber and the tools. The timber and the tools is what got you there. No different to the gym. The gym got you there, but you love it because of the connections you make with other men.
Yep.
And a lot of guys will go, no, that's bullshit. No.
Yeah.
That's why you're there.
Yeah.
And it must be so good to see and be part of the vehicle that runs that.
Well, we've got a saying up on our wall. We've got community up on our wall.
Yeah.
And our community in that gym is outstanding. Yeah, we've got a great bunch of people at all ages, young kids.
Yeah.
There's people in the gym that are mid-80s. And a lot of credit has to go to Vinny, who's forged those connections initially. So I've only been a part of the Vita Fitness the past 2.5 years, Vita Footy for about 3 to 4 years. But the ability for those guys to get those connections and forge those connections has been outstanding.
Because what it does, it creates a really safe place for men to be. And if men are safe, if they feel safe, they're more likely to open up and talk. If it happens to be doing squats or bench press or whatever at the time, so be it. It's all about what works.
I had a gentleman who I been training for probably. He's been down there for about a year now, and he's one of our sponsors down there. He had a tragic loss with his cousin about 2 weeks ago, and it happened on a Sunday night, and he turned up to training the next morning. One reason was because he didn't want to. He just wanted to get things off his mind, and he thought by training he wouldn't think about it for that half an hour. And when he walked in, you could tell there was something going on. And then, it broke down a little bit, and it was really good to console him and tell him that I'm just here for you. If you need anything, let me know. And he was really grateful for that. Absolutely. And I go, mate, if you want to train, let's train. If you want to go for a walk for half an hour, I'll come for a walk with you half an hour. If we're just walking, you don't have to say anything. He wanted to train. He wanted me to put the pads on, hit the pads.
I think part of that is based around structure and routine.
Yep.
When guys lose structure and routine, that's when the shit starts to hit the fan. So I can see why someone in that situation would want to go and keep that structure and routine, because he knows that's what works for him.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I think one of the things we'd love to, I think I spoke to Kano about this the other day. It'd be really, really cool to do an exercise where when the guys come into the gym, they've got to fill out, how's your day out of 10? Fill it out. And then fill it out on the way out as well.
Yep.
And just see how that goes.
Yeah, it's not a bad ploy. We at Collingwood, and I'm sure a lot of football clubs do it, when their players get into training, they have to fill out, I think, their RPEs, and it measures their sleep, how their body's feeling. They'll go through how their legs are feeling, how was how was your sleep the night before. It's the same sort of method.
Yeah.
Just
mate, get some really good feedback that way.
Yeah.
Now, mate, there are a million questions here. We have not had the amount of questions that we have here tonight ever. You, my friend, have blown up my text machine. Now, Waltzy, who's in the back office here, here we go. Now, mate, let's just get this one out of the way, because I had 3 people ring me today, and if I don't ask you this, I'm going to get hit. But there's a guy called Mark here, and all he wants to know is, please confirm, was it a goal or not?
I get asked this question every time I do something. And
I'm sorry. Bloody Mark.
Bloody Mark.
I'll give you his.
I just forgotten about that. It took me 15 years to forget about that moment. No, I'm only joking. But,
Mark Hamilton. Mark Hamilton, if you know him. Do you know Mark Hamilton?
I've heard that name. Mark Hamilton.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. I've just dropped you down on the bus, mate. Sorry.
It was definitely a goal. From where I was standing,
yep,
and from where other people were standing, was definitely a goal. I saw that ball going by half a metre.
Yeah.
And it's still, I still see it going in. I get asked this question all the time, and it's a goal, 100%.
There you go, Mark. Cop that.
Yeah, cop that, Mark.
Mate, what's your, from Rob here, what was your proudest moment as a sportsman, as a mentor, and as a family man?
Obviously, as a family man, is the birth of my kids.
Yep.
And the day I married my beautiful wife. And just the moments we share together. We particularly love, like as I said before, we particularly love going down to Dramana, where we've got a caravan there, and spending a fair bit of time there. And one day we'll live down there, not in the caravan, but in the house there somewhere. As a mentor, I just love people achieving whatever they set out to achieve, and for me to be a part of that in trying to guide people on their way is very rewarding. As a coach, same thing. Coach, mentor, same thing. As a player, never got to achieve the ultimate success, but I was so fortunate and glad that I played in a grand final. Very disappointing that I got rubbed out for 2003 when I accidentally raised my elbow and hit the man's shoulder, and then it went a bit higher and hit him in the head. But just when you look back at my career, I like to say that I had a nice, good career. I would have, like I said, would have liked to achieve a bit more. But to play, not a lot of people get to play 242 games and kick 400 goals. So I must have did something right.
Yeah. This one is from Andy and Nat. Oh, hang on, this one's for me. Are those paint spots on your arm real? Because they're there every week. Andy, they're fresh from today, my friend.
They're tattoos.
They're Country Road South Yarra, Country Road bloody Carlton, and a job I did this afternoon. They're real, mate. Don't you start. What else we got here? Ash. Ash is a great young man. Got a question. When you're in the States, did you ever have thoughts of giving up or feeling lonely just because your family was at home? We sort of touched on that before, that you just didn't want to leave, did you, mate? And clearly people know now how entrenched you are in your mates and your family. It was just a no-brainer that you weren't going to go.
No, exactly.
Absolute no-brainer. One here from Andy. How do you describe the cultural difference, I should say, between Bucks and Mick?
Good question. Bucks, Mick. Mick was hard-nosed coach who demanded a lot. I actually played for Mick.
Yep.
Because he was like a second father to me. Yep. When he first got to Collingwood, he goes, mate, we know that you're not a running beast, but we're going to support you and put you in positions where we'll demonstrate your greatest assets. Yeah, I had to get better in being, with my running and with my endurance and things like that. But he gave me confidence that I could be a good player with my greatest assets.
Yep.
Bucks is the same, trying to get the best out of players with their greatest assets. It was hard. It was hard for Bucks at the time because, with that handover, Bucks wanted to try and make it his own team instead of carry over from Mick's team. So it was a tough situation to be in. Absolutely. I feel that the Bucks is a bit more empathetic these days than what Mick would have been. But Mick's the best coach that I've ever been coached by.
Wow. Bucks has certainly looked like he's become a lot more empathetic over the last 2 or 3 years, particularly.
100%.
Yeah, nice one here from Maria, mate. Wish other coaches in other sports had this attitude that you've got, mate. So important to get to know your players and deal with each person's according to their personality. My son's confidence was shattered by negative comments about his height, etc. Sorry, about his weight, and etc. That's so true. I help coach some junior footy, and mate, it doesn't take a lot to just build a kid up. Even giving a kid a nickname, like if they've never had a nickname, you just make one up. It's just they love it and they feel part of it. That's such an important thing, isn't it? Just keeping kids in sport and keeping their confidence up.
You got to keep them engaged. And I know who that Maria is. She's my cousin Maria. She married a Greek boy, in Andrew, and she became Maria Stradiu. But Maria is a fantastic woman, and I know her son Dimitri very well, and he's a solid kid. I tell you what, he's a strong kid.
Yep,
he's a really strong kid. But you've got to engage these kids to their assets. Everyone's got their flaws, and You got to let people know what their room for improvements are. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. Otherwise, you're not doing your role as a coach. But the best way you get the best performance out of someone is to show them what their strengths are and want them to get their strengths out of themselves even more than what they're achieving.
Absolutely. One from Anthony, mate. Rock's one of the most genuine guys you could ever meet. He was a mate to mate a couple of years ago, and when I was there, he was there for me when I needed a chat. But that just goes. That does not surprise me one bit, Anthony. From what we've seen tonight, I should say, sounds like you're well known for that, mate.
Yeah, Anthony was a sponsor of mine when I was playing at Collingwood, and we've lent on each other when we've needed to. He's gone through some stuff with his business, and we had chats and things like that. I'm nowhere near a businessman, but when someone's not happy doing what they're doing in current environments, then you have the chat with them. Well, do something that you want to do something that you want to enjoy. So we've had some. He comes to the gym as well. He's we just got to work on his what he's putting in his mouth, because he works pretty hard in the gym.
Yep.
But Anthony's a good man.
Good on you. Another one from Maria, mate. Love you, Anthony. Your heart is so big and pure. Maria's a big fan of yours, mate. He's one of the funniest blokes. He's always ready for a big hug, and she loves those.
Yeah, she's a ripper, Maria. And her sister, Grace.
Another one from Christina. Anthony, you are a remarkable man and such a great role model for young boys. Our son, Oliver, is so lucky to call you Coach Anthony. Thank you for always acknowledging him and taking him from time to time and listening to him and supporting him and help foster his love for the AFL. Mate, you cannot get a better response than that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. Like I said, that's our community down at Vita. Christina's the wife of the gentleman I was talking about who had the tragedy. Her husband had the tragedy with the cousin. So it's great that she was listening. And but beautiful family. They're a sponsor down at the gym as well. And their kids are super. I met them at Auskick last year in Baldwin, and they've become friends.
That's awesome, mate. One from Rob here, mate. They're coming in thick and fast. Rob here, from all the mates from Reza, mate, we are so proud of what you have achieved as a footballer, more importantly, as a family man. Us boys love you. How does that make you feel?
It's good. The guys down in Reza are super. Reza gets a bit of a bad name, but there's some really good people down there. So what do? You just you're with them, and whenever they want to lean on you, you lean on them back.
Absolutely. Here's one from Kane, one of the guys you work with. Anth, how do you go on the treadmill?
Do we really want to go there, Kane?
Kane, don't be like that, Kane.
Kane,
well, supposed to be uplifting. You're the only one that's sending something nasty, Kane.
Had a little bit of an accident where I was on the treadmill and I had to get off for something, and then I put my foot back on it, and off I went. It was pretty funny. It got shown in the Christmas party, so
we might put it on the website.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, awesome. Send it through to me, Kane, please. From Lee Hamilton, we love you, Pebbles. Mate, another one here. Sonia, this is such an inspiring discussion, honest and sincere. This is going to be a great partnership with Vita. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much, Sonia. You're a star. Mark Hamilton again. Mate, I'm not asking, mate. He said it was a goal, Mark. Give it up, champ. Now, he says, any plans in the future into a TV series? How to make a Breville. Yeah. I did. I get a phone call today, and one of the boys said to me, "You've got to ask him about Jaffles." I'm like, "What the hell? What happened there, mate?"
Can you believe that the front bar ran with that for 6 weeks in a row, Me and Sav, um, this little thing we did back 20 years ago of how to make a toasted jaffle, ham, cheese, mushroom jaffle, has gone this far. We should get our own bloody cooking show.
You mate. Well, that's what Mark's thinking about.
I agree. Mark, if you've got a connection in Breville, we'll get this done, mate.
Yeah, let's get it done. Let's get the rock jaffle, the rock jaffle maker.
Yeah,
mate. All these there's a real big undertone in all these remarks that you are an amazing man who is extremely humble and clearly does a lot for other people. So on behalf of myself, mate, who's the president of 100 Words Mate to Mate, we cannot be happier to be engaged with someone like yourself and Vinny, who's the same, and Pat and Kane. Mate, we're super impressed by you guys, and we can't wait to work with you guys long term.
Well, we're surely looking forward to it. As I said, touched on before, Paddy, Vinny, and Kane. They're three outstanding guys who have shared a lot of experience in the fields that they're in. And we're super excited to be joining forces in doing future things. So we're looking forward to it.
I reckon we'll get some of the boys down there and have a gym session. Now, Sonia's written in, is there a recording of this so that it can be shared afterwards? There certainly is, Sonia. If you go to www.100words.org.au by probably halfway through tomorrow, you'll be able to download this and watch it on YouTube and send it to everyone you know. Mate, you're an absolute star. You've had a real impact on me over the last, we only met the other week. And when you said it ain't going to be at 8, and I'm like, yeah, we'll no, it's going to be 8:15. I went, okay, if that's what you want, that's what's going to happen. Mate, I wouldn't have moved the date for anyone. I would only do it for you. So, mate, real pleasure to have you on. And as I said, I look forward to getting down to Veneto Club and, hanging out with you guys. And, we've got a presentation to your staff. I know you're really keen to get your staff involved, and that's where it starts. I mean, all your staff are aged between, that bracket we talk about, between 16 and 44. So it's really important that you guys are setting the tone for your staff and getting us to talk to them. And then we'll get all your members down there and have an event I think we're having an event in February, from memory. Yep. So we're really looking forward to that. But over the summer, we're going to have a greater connection on a weekly basis. So we're really looking forward to that, mate. And as I said, on behalf of myself and Walter, who you met the other day, who's behind the camera, he's probably finished that suva by now that he showed us.
He'd have garlic bread by now, I think.
Oh, yeah. He would have made a bloody mess everywhere now, Walty. So, mate, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I love the fact that you're using the how's your day out of 10. And let's keep checking in and see how that works for you and all your members.
Super, mate. I thank you. Felt really comfortable talking. It's the first time I've done something on this sort of magnitude, but really easy to talk. And for anyone who's associated with the gym or whoever, if they need a lending ear, then I'm sure myself, any of the boys down at Vita or yourself, Turts, is happy to chat.
Absolutely, mate. Sometimes it helps to talk to someone you don't even know. You've got my number. Feel free to give it out, mate, to anyone. Mate, and hats off to you. I asked you at the start of the interview why you did this, and you've never done anything like this before. And to be so open and honest, how do you feel now after doing it?
I feel great. I feel great. I'm hoping that a lot of people would, even if one person gets something out of it, that's all we need. So
absolutely.
I'm happy.
Mate, thanks again for your time. I hope tomorrow's a 10 out of 10, and I'll give you a call tomorrow afternoon.
Super, mate. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Pebbles. Cheers, buddy. Well, guys, we that went for way over an hour. We could have kept going for quite a while. That was awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. Oh, hang on, I've gone off. Sorry, my video went off then. Sorry, guys. Really, really enjoyed that. What a guy. As he said, he's never done anything like that before. So, oh, I think I'm off. Oh, no, there I am. Sorry, that was great. He's never done anything like that before. So for him to come on and do that was absolutely amazing. Next week, I say this every week, but next week's show is from a guy called Ash, who's 19. He started watching this show about 10 weeks ago, just after he tried to take his own life. He's 19. It's the second time that he's tried to take his own life. And he's coming on next week to talk about it. He was one of the guys that asked the question tonight. And he's such an impressive young man. He's learned a lot about himself and about what he needs to do to get better. And we've played a very small part in that. And I cannot wait to interview him next week. I'm really, really excited. I know he's pretty excited about it too. So next week, don't miss it. As I said, go to the website, www.100words.com.au, and to register. Also, this show wouldn't happen if it wasn't for our sponsors. Atlas Brokers do a huge amount for us. Splice Communications, Shelley, and Brett Phillips from the First Serve do a huge amount for us to enable us to do this show. So I'm super excited. I love doing this show. I really do. Tuesday's the highlight of my week. So everyone out there, just do what Anthony's going to do. Use that how's your day out of 10, and see how that works for you. It's a really, really easy way for you to have really deep and meaningful conversations with your mates. On behalf of myself and Walt, who's behind the camera, does a huge amount of work. Thank you so much, Walty. I hope the rest of your week's a 10 out of 10, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for your time.